What it do? What it do? What it do? This is
What's
your girl
up, Tori?
Tori. Listen, this is your girl Tori. It's the Keep the Faith podcast. Listen, it has been quite a while since I have been on these airways. But let me do this, Sandy. I gotta do this. I've been telling people at the end of last year that I was gonna come back. I was gonna be more consistent. But guess what? I wasn't. Because
Okay,
I'm missing our girl. So this is what I want to do before we
okay,
get started. I gotta do this. This is my motivation. 2025. I gotta do this. I'm dedicating this show to our girl, Miss Shakita Stoops. I miss her dearly.
of
So let me
course.
show her some love. We're gonna dedicate this to our girl, Yakita
All
Stoops.
right.
Kita!
What up, Keita Boo?
So we doing this for you because
Yes,
I already know. Tori, I can hear her voice. Tori, what is you waiting on?
right.
Why are you stagnant? Why you ain't doing what you're supposed to do? Like, why?
You gotta do what you're supposed to do. That's what she said. Just go do it. Just go do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'm dedicating this live to her because I'm gonna come back in 2025 stronger, harder. I'm gonna be motivated. I'm gonna be hearing her voice saying, Tori, keep going, keep going.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't want to go,
Yeah,
keep going. I'm gonna
yeah,
push and press my way through.
right. Because
So
you know that
Kita, we love you.
we love you, Keita Boo. This one's for you.
Absolutely. So Sandy, those that don't know, you've been on the podcast before. You ain't
Yes,
new
I
to the
have.
Keep It podcast, but you may be new to some. Introduce yourself.
For those that know me already, hi. For those that are new to me, my name is Dr. Sandee Delice. I am a daughter. I'm a sister. I am a special education teacher. I am a life coach. I am a JV heads girls basketball head coach. Um, I don't particularly call myself a motivational speaker, but I do believe I am motivated to motivate. So, anybody cross my path, I can drop a word, give them a word that inspires them or just, keeps them going or even push myself. That's what I'll do. So, um, I give the glory and that's what I'm about.
Absolutely. And we go back like four flats. What we back in the 90s at the College of Charleston, right?
CFC Cougars. Listen, me and Trisha pulled up to a CFC game last night. The flashbacks we were having at that basketball game was real. Listen, it's been a minute, but we had a blast. So it was nice to be back, on campus and do our thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta I got to visit the College of Charleston. It's been, oh God, 10 years? I haven't been in
Ooh,
Charleston 10 years.
it's been a minute.
2015. Because in
Yeah.
2015 we came for you. So I ain't been back.
Listen, come on, let's go stomp the grounds or something.
Yeah, we gonna do that.
Yeah.
We gonna do that. We gonna do that. So listen, you got a topic. I want you to tell people what the topic is.
All
And
right.
my question, once you tell people the topic for the day, my question to you is my first question to you is why this particular topic? So introduce the topic, and then the next question is what made you choose this particular topic?
All right. So today's topic is everybody can't go. And I chose this topic because we all go through journeys in life. You know what I'm saying? As we get older, as people start having families, as you start losing people, as you start gaining people, whatever situations that come about you in life, sometimes you get to a place where I won't really say that you're elevating, but you're growing and you're changing. And sometimes the places that you are being led to, the people that you want to keep close to you, the people that's been in your circle, sometimes everybody can't go. Because sometimes when you start getting to a certain place in life, or it's not to say that you're getting too big and you forget the people that was down with you. It's just that you start to find out as you get older and you have a discernment about people around you that everybody's not happy when your life seems like it's changing and their life is staying stagnant. So you can remain to be the same person that you are, but if you stay vigilant and you keep, like they say, keep your head on the swivel, you see things. And sometimes it's hard to move on and leave people behind, but it's not really that you're leaving them behind. It's just that you have to go where you're called to go. You have to go to your purpose. And when you go to your purpose, listen, it's not a conference call. What's for you is for you. You can't take everybody with you.
And you remember back in well, actually last month when we went to the Stooks Christmas celebration. You
Yes.
remember afterwards, you remember we were ministered to, prayed
Yes.
over. And
Yes.
what was the one thing that all of us was told? Your yes.
Your
Your
yes.
yes. Oh my God.
Your yes. Your yes is not everybody else's yes. And you got to be ready when your yes comes. Because if you try to say no because you're afraid, sometimes it's fear. A lot of people are afraid to grow, but you don't want to miss out on your yes because there's no telling when the opportunity will show up again. And what you have in this season to answer to your yes, there's no telling if you're going to have it in that season when the yes shows up, because when that yes come back, it might just be a maybe. So you better answer your yes right now when you see it.
Now let me ask you this question. So what if you answer the call to yes? You have friends that you hold near and dear to your heart. You explain to them that you hear the call and your answer is yes. And they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to discourage you. They're trying to distract you. They're trying
Right.
to get you off your path. What do you do? What do you say to that friend? And what exactly do you do? Because a lot of times we hold on to people because it's familiar. And
Absolutely.
we don't want to let them go. So what do you do when people are a distraction and they don't respect your yes?
This is me personally. This is a blessing and a curse. When I'm in a position now in my life, as I've gotten older, as I've been through some life changes, I'm finding it ain't really hard for me to move on from people. And I'm gonna be honest and say I don't particularly know if it's a good thing. Like, I know me after what I've gone through. I don't have the patience for people that I know is hindering me. And it's not that I get disrespectful, and it's not that I treat them any differently. It's just that I have to get into a place, and I encourage anybody to get into that place, because we all got friends. We love our friends, we love our family. But at the end of this day, you are living this life for you. If you don't have kids, if you don't have, I'm not going to say a significant other. I'm going to say if you don't have a husband or a wife, or if you're not headed in the direction of a husband or a wife, then you're living for you. At the end of the day, you got to give account for what you've done with your life. So it's a hard place to be. And when people always say growth is hard, that's a part of the growth. You don't see it as when you're thinking about growth, that you're gonna have to lose people in the process. But sometimes when you move on, you lose friends. You think about people in the industry. You particularly hear it from musicians or rappers or whatever. If they really about their business, their circle is small, because you have to recognize who's there with you because they genuinely want to see you grow, who's there with you because they attach to you because they feel like if you go in, there's something they can also get out of it, but not in a positive way. But you just have to plainly see who's not for you. Because as long as you neck and neck with somebody, they're going to always be for you. As soon as you start running that race and they see you up ahead and it look like you're winning, that's when you really find out who's for you, who truly, truly supports you for who you are and where you're going. So it's hard and it'll break your heart. and it'll have you feeling discombobulated because that's your family, that's your girl, that's your dude. But growth is hard, and eventually, I believe if you have to move on without that person, eventually, if they accept the call into their growth, y'all will reconnect. You will reconnect because it takes maturity. This is a maturity thing. I have friends, I have family. People are elevating in their life. And I say it's elevating because you're not staying the same. When you're moving in a positive light and you're growing, you're elevating, so you can choose to be jealous or you can encourage that person. And it's not a pat on the back like, good job, good job. No, what can I do to help you? What can I say to help you? And if they don't need anything from you, just your presence could be all that they need. So if some people can't handle you when you're growing like that, then it's tough, but it comes with change. It comes with growth. You gotta just move on. You have to move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even sometimes I've witnessed it that sometimes you have to, when you have adult, like I've seen people around me that have adult children, and there's some instances where
Hmm.
you have to even leave your children behind.
Hmm.
And I mean, because when they become adults, we have to know that we have actually prepared them for the world, or
Right.
tried to prepare them the best way we know how, but
Right.
ultimately they're going to make their own decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, as a teacher, I say this about kids. Kids are little human beings and they have their personalities, and I tell my students this all the time. Sometimes I let them make decisions, and sometimes I have to make the decisions for them. I'm not being a boss. It's just that I've had the pleasure of already going through life, and I've dealt with experiences that I could possibly think what's around the corner, and I'm doing it to protect you, and I'm also doing it to teach you. Some lessons you will learn on your own, and you're going to fall and get back up. Some lessons you're not going to know how to get back up, and I have to be the person to do it, but when kids get to middle school and high school, it takes a different kind of person to really have patience for older kids, because at this point you expect them to know what to do, and whereas some adults don't even know what to do, but they still have their own mind. So as a parent, when you've already groomed your kids in the best way that you know how, it's not saying that you did everything perfect, you know, but I mean, I hate to say it, sometimes there are children that are jealous of their parents and where they're at. Sometimes there are parents that are jealous of their children and where they're at, and you got to be able to just love them. But like I said, those are the hard places where you have to go. I'm not leaving my mom behind. I'm not leaving my brother. I'm leaving my sister. I'm going to a place so that I can elevate. When they reach out to me and I have the opportunity to bless them, I absolutely will, because I didn't leave them behind to be malicious. I left them behind because there's things that I had to do, and they were not with me. So it's just hard. It's a hard thing to do. Growth is hard. Change is hard. But you have
Absolutely.
to be. It's something where you have to be content within yourself when you say, I am doing this for me. I am doing this for us. And you're not going to understand it now, but in the long run, you will see that it was worth it, you know,
Absolutely.
and you got to move on.
So what do you do? What advice do you give? Because I myself, I have a young adult. I have a 19-year-old son, and he is my bestest friend.
Mhm, mhm.
But I'm realizing as a mom that, sometimes I have to sit back and allow him to make his own mistakes. But I always tell him daily, whenever you make mistakes, I'm always going to be, you can always fall back on mama. I'm always
Right,
going to have your back. But sometimes it's hard when you can kind of see what's going to happen, but you don't
uh-huh.
want to intervene, but you want them to make their own mistakes so that they can learn from them.
Right.
What do you say to those young adults? Some of them think they know a lot
Right. Right.
when it's still a learning process. And then me being a little older, I kind of know.
TT.
Listen, I kind of, I call it little season. You kind of know what's gonna happen, but at the same time, you realize you were not you. I know I was 19 at one time,
Right.
so I got to allow him to learn things for himself. I can't tell him everything. I can't
Mhm.
always speak for him. All as long as I'm there to protect him, I got to allow him to make decisions. So, what do you say to those young adults that there's some and like I'm blessed that I have a son that holds himself accountable. I have a
Yeah.
son that listens and he's very respectful and humble. But what do you say to those kids that are don't want to listen,
Right.
that feels as if they know it all?
Right.
And then when you try to tell them, like I've seen parents say, well, no, because we as parents, we know that's not your friend, but they don't see what we see.
Right.
So what do you say to those young adults, such as my son, 19, well, I would say 15 on up,
Right.
they have friends around them that are bringing them down. You can see it, but they don't, and they feel like they know it all. They feel like you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But they, when they make the mistake and they fall down, then they be like, "Dang, you were right." So what do you say
Right.
though those that don't want to listen, that are not doing the right thing? But they have
Mhm.
to fall on their face on their own. What do you say to them to encourage them to, because of course we're none of us gonna always do the right thing.
Absolutely.
But what do you say
Absolutely.
to those kids, young adults, I'll say, to encourage them?
You know what? It's I also have a 19-year-old nephew. I don't have a 19-year-old son, but I have a 19-year-old nephew that's very driven. You know what I'm saying? And he's about his business, But, there are times where and I don't know all of his friends, but we do have those conversations, not often, but just telling him, to be careful because one of the things we have to realize now, us that are a little seasoned, is that these kids right now have the world at their fingertips. This social media is off the chains. And these kids feel like they can do no wrong. And if they something does happen that they've done wrong, they always feel like there's a way out of it. So the thing that we for us as adults is to, keep talking to them. Keep talking to them because they're listening and they hear you. They are. And you can't pull back as the adult. Yeah, you're going to get tired of saying the same thing to those kids that do not listen. But what needs to happen is um, parents don't ever turn their back on their children. So when they come to you and they're ready and they're looking for that word of encouragement, you have to be able to humble yourself and not so much do the I told you what's going to happen. I told you what's going to happen. You got to learn like somewhat of like the art of questioning. You know what I'm saying? Some people naturally have it, and it's hard to do as a parent when you're watching your kids and it's not so much their failing, because um I believe a lot of times you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. If you keep going and you keep going, the grass is green and you love it, but if you don't ever learn how to stop and have to water those little brown patches and nurse it back to being green, then really you're not going to learn anything. So for those kids that don't listen, they hear you, but they have this leniency where the world now tells them that everything is okay, no matter what it is. Everything is okay. And I don't want to get into some different kind of topics, but it tells them that everything is okay. And no matter what, they're going to go do it. And as parents, you really feel like sometimes you don't have a say so, because you don't really have the support of you might have support of your community, but then the community don't need to have support of the world to help you raise your children, so your hands are tied, so I say to those kids that are out there, you know, listen to the adults that are talking to you because they've more than likely gone down the road that you've already gone down. And I know it's hard as a teenager to be told to do differently from what your friends are doing, but eventually if your life is spared, you will grow up, and you don't want to make mistakes today that's going to hinder the growth of tomorrow. And that's the biggest thing that I would say to them. What you do today seems good, yes. But when you do something today that creates a track record, or you get into trouble with the law and you can't shake it, when you go down the line and you really want that job and that stuff is on your history, you can't take it back. It's going to be a lot of work to get it off. So as much as the kids are there and they don't listen, it's also work for parents to just be ready with, you know, not so much a lecture, but you got to really be able to get into conversation as they get older. And that's the biggest thing. They're going to make the mistakes all day long. Really, it falls back on us. Are we able to be humble enough, and not be upset enough to be able to listen and still give not so much sound advice, but still be a soft place to land? And that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. That's good. That was good. So let me ask you this. How did you get to the point where you are today? Because a lot of times, I know me personally, sometimes you can be so loyal to people
Mm-hmm.
that you are disloyal to yourself. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
get to the point where you are loyal to yourself, and you, like you said earlier, it don't even bother you about leaving people behind? How did you get there? Because all of us don't be there. I mean,
Yeah.
was it a process to get there? Because
And
I struggle with that sometimes, leaving people
it's not
behind.
easy. It's not easy at all. At all. Like, um, for starters, in my younger years when I started out in school, I made those same mistakes, you know what I'm saying? I partied and I had a good time. So I stopped and I just became an adult at an early age because I just had to work. I started having bills. I couldn't continue on in school because I wasn't doing good in school. Y'all stayed at College of Charleston. I had to leave and go make this money because I couldn't be in school, and life just teaches you a lot of things. And, you know, um, as I've been out of school probably, I don't know, I probably stopped school like 7 or 8 years. And then once I got back into it, I had to go. But I still have my friends, you know what I'm saying? But because you've had to leave your friends behind and go live a different life because of the mistakes in a sense that you made, you kind of learn how to fend for yourself. So while y'all were in school, going to class and doing what you were doing, I was out there working on somebody's job. While y'all were graduating from college, I was working on somebody's job, and now that you guys got out of school and you started your careers, now I jump back into school. You know what I'm saying? So life just teaches you that you're not always going to be the same place with people, no matter how much you try. No matter how much you try. I have friends, but there's some friends I don't talk to every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's friends I had in high school, friends I had in college, you know. I have one friend I talk to every day, and that's, my home girl that I work with now. And her and I talk and bounce off of each other every day. And outside of my sisters and my family, and then you guys that I talk to, that's about the closest person that I have. So it just gets to a place where some people are playing, some people are working. Some people are moving on into the business field, some people are still trying to find their way. So for me, I was pushed into that place where, in a sense, I kind of had to become a loner, because like I said, I was not on track with everybody else that were my friends. And that may have also instilled something in me to where I'm okay with moving on, and being okay having to do things on my own and be by myself because of the situation where I put myself in earlier in life. And I didn't realize that it was actually growing me and turning me into this person that I am today.
How
So,
how important is it to you, solitude? Because there's a difference between, I had to learn, there's a difference between solitude and isolation. But I
hmm,
think both are necessary.
yeah,
But
yeah.
how do you distinguish the two between isolation and solitude? And like I said, both are necessary, but sometimes we have to make sure we don't get caught up in the isolation, that you disconnect from people and you
Hmm.
find yourself in a state of depression.
Right.
So how do you distinguish the two and not get caught up in, you know what I'm saying, getting too, because like I said, I was at one point, like, my cutoff game was wicked. Like I would cut people off real bad.
Right, right,
Real
right.
bad. But I've gotten better. But it was for me, it was to my detriment. So how do you distinguish between the two, the isolation and solitude, and how important is the solitude for you and
So
as it pertains to your growth?
so that's something I've never actually thought of. But when you asked me that, my wheels already started turning. And I'm not gonna say the answer I'm give you is correct, of course, because we all have our own opinions. But I feel like solitude is something you do for yourself for a certain amount of time. It is something that you are intentional about. Isolation, I feel, is somewhere that you end up because you've lost your way.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? There's things that you have struggled with and you drown in. And no matter how much you look up, you just can't get your head above the water, right? Isolation is a place where everybody wants to come to, but you're shutting them out.
Mm.
Solitude for me is a place where I take myself and I know I cannot bring people in there because I have to be intentional about how I see myself and how I'm grooming myself and what it is that I want for myself. So when I go into solitude, I can't take people in there. Everybody can't go into solitude with me because there is a purpose behind my solitude. There's a reason I am there. And when I come out, I'm coming out guns blazing because I've already taken that time to myself. When I get isolated, I'm struggling. I'm sad. I don't know what to do. And it could be professionally, it could be personally, it could be from a relationship, it could be from a loss of something. So I just feel like isolation is not something you do to yourself. Isolation is like a little small problem that gets bigger if you stay there. Like that eye in isolation is a little eye and it can grow to be a big eye. And when it gets to be a big eye and you end there by yourself, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that's when I think about isolation and solitude. One, you do for yourself because there is something purposeful that you want to come out of it. And then isolation is a place where you find yourself because, you're struggling. You don't know what to do. You don't know which way is up, down, left, or right. And isolation is a hard place for you to let people into.
Mm.
That's a hard place to be. So solitude, you can say, wait, I'll be out. I hear you. I hear you. But give me a minute. Isolation is like, yo, Sandy, let me in. And I'm not turning on the lights. I'm not unlocking the door. I'm not even answering your phone calls. Because where I am, there's no telling what you're going to say to me to show me that me being isolated is not okay. And I'm not in a place to accept that I'm doing harm to myself and I don't know how to get out. I can't tell you I don't know how to get out. So the best thing for me to do is to leave you out and stay isolated. So that's my differentiation between the two, between solitude and isolation.
The way you broke that down, I'm like, woo. The way you broke that down is basically clarification for me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know that there, oh gosh, I'm speechless. And I'm hardly ever speechless. But the way, oh my God, I just want to run around the room.
Take a lap, man. Take a lap. Shoot. Do it.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. It's a hard thing, man.
isolation. Yeah.
It's interesting to me that you asked that question because um a couple of days ago, like I said, I'm a basketball coach, so automatically there are some kids that are drawn to you. So I have a player that I know is very much drawn to me. And I also know that she has a friend, and because she's drawn to me, he's also drawn to me. And the crazy thing about it is when you in this place and you always talking about everybody can't go, you got to also be able to explain it to a teenager. So it's funny because the dude had a bad game, and immediately she said, you got to go to Coach Sandee. You got to go to Coach Sandee. And you see these young teenage boys, they're strong and they're tough and they giggly and whatever. And to see him just so, I mean, it's like all the emotion was just drained out of him because he felt like he had a bad game. And I watch a person that's giggling, yo, Coach Sandee, yo, yo, yo. And then he didn't have no words for me. And I just had to pour life into him and encourage him and be like, I love basketball. And I tell all my players this: basketball is just a game. And then she's beside us and she's like, what's wrong? Talk to me. You gonna talk to me? You gonna talk to me? Come on, talk to me. And I had to stop. I said, yo, stop. Where he is right now, you can't go. Leave him be. You cannot go. You did what you had to do. You brought him over here because you knew he needed some guidance, somebody to instill something in him. So you brought him here and I spoke to him. And now you want him to come out of that isolation that you're talking about. Want him to come out of this isolation, right? And you want him to let you in. And he did not want to let her in. And I told her, I said, all you need to do is sit and wait. Sit and wait. And when he's ready, he will talk to you. And I look at him and I said, am I right? And he's like, yes. And I just encourage him. I say, where you are right now, you cannot stay. Where you are right now, you cannot stay with this hoodie over your head and you barely being able to talk, almost on the verge of tears. You cannot stay there. But I also assured him that I'm also not going to talk your head off. I'm not going to talk your head off. This is all I got to say. When you're ready to talk, I will be here. So I had practice the next day. I asked her, did you check on him? No, but blah, blah, blah. So the middle of practice, I had her check on him because it was important to me, without knowing I'm having this conversation with you, that he didn't isolate himself because of one game. Right. I had to respect his solitude. I had to teach her how to respect his solitude because he was going through something and he was growing because it was a hardship. It is a game for these teenage kids that they're playing and their friends are watching. And how good or how bad you do, you got to hear from your peers. And they don't know how to accept that. So by the time she called him and I saw his face and I spoke to him, I said, how you feeling? He's like, I'm good. I said, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I just went to sleep and I woke up and everything is much better today.
That's good.
You needed to give him space.
Right.
There's a difference. And not knowing I was having this conversation with you today, in my mind, I was very mindful to not let him go down that path. But I also needed to give him the space to go through the process because it's growth. He's a teenager. He had to learn what it felt like to hurt because things didn't go his way. And I kept saying to him, how you going to bounce back? How you going to bounce back? And I said, when you're ready, talk to me. So I don't need to have another conversation with him. I'm already seeing that he went through what he went through. He didn't stay isolated, but he needed the solitude. So I was like, everybody can't go everywhere. People want to go, and it's not a bad thing. It's because they care and they don't want to see you hurting. And one of the hardest things to do in maturity is to watch somebody go through something and stay back. Like it's when somebody dies and you're like, what can I do for you? Ain't really nothing you can do for somebody when they've lost somebody but be there. I don't have a problem with silence. Silence for me is not awkward, right? I can sit in a room with somebody that's hurting and never say a word. And I don't feel like I'm there and I serve no purpose. All I can do is just sit and be there, and that works for me. And there's people do the same thing for me. They sit. I just sit in the room. You talk about dedicating this podcast tonight to Keita, and the night the morning, that night, that Friday night, when I actually was able to get home, I called my sister and I just cried and I just cried and I just cried. And then I just sat in her house. I literally just sat there. She turned on the TV. She sat in that chair. I sat in this chair. And she was just like, if you want to talk, is anything that you need, let me know. But we just sat and watched TV. And then at the end of the night, I got up and I went home. And that was good enough for me because that's all I needed. She didn't need to sit beside me. She didn't need to hold my hand because the pain that I was feeling, there's nothing she could have done to get in my body to feel the pain that I was feeling. She couldn't go there with me. She loves Keita and she knows Keita very well too because, we all connected. Me, you, Trisha, Keita, all of us. We just couldn't get there. But you had to go through your own thing. I had to go through it myself. She had to go through it as my sister, knowing the pain that I felt from my friend and that also being her friend through me. We couldn't go there with each other. She just had to let me go where I was going on my own, and she wasn't gonna let me stay in a hole, but she knew where I was. She couldn't come there with me. All she could do was sit and just let me be until I'm ready to just move on.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, everybody can't go, don't just relate to relationships. They don't just relate to your job. There are so many things that we go through in life and people just can't go with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be okay. And that person also has to be okay. Can't go with you. We just can't.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
people just don't understand it.
It's hard. I'm not gonna act like it's
Ooh.
easy. It is hard. It is hard. And to be honest, a lot of times when people don't understand it, one is because they want to be there so badly for somebody else. Another reason is because some people just need to be needed. Their identity is in being needed. And if I'm not needed, then who am I? And when you
Mm.
tell them they can't go, they have no idea what to do with themselves because of what they've based themselves in. A lot of people are givers, givers, givers. But a giver for me is not the same as a person that is needy, needy, needy. You know what I'm saying? So those are the people that you have to watch out for when you say you can't come with me. Because those are the people that feel the need to be needed and lose their identity in somebody else. Those are the people that usually spiral out of control and try to mess up what somebody else got going on. So you got to be careful. You got to be able
Mm.
to have hard conversations. We adults, them hard conversations are real. You got to have it and you got to be able to hear it. It's like,
Mm.
yeah.
Who? What do you do? Oh, you just gave me a thought in my head. What do you do where? Because I'm a giver by nature.
Hmm.
So what do you do? What advice for me, a person like me that like to give, like to be there for people, and they don't want you to be there for them? They totally shut you out and they don't want you to be there. I struggle with that. Like I'm wanting to be there. I want to, just like you say, sometimes you just sit, you want to make sure they're okay, but some people just don't want you there. And you just not be there, but it hurts you that you can't be there, if that makes sense.
So here's a problem with people that give, 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 and they're givers. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. One of the problems with people that are givers is that they think that everything they're given that other person needs.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? I want to give of myself to you because I see you hurting. Well, boo, what you giving right now ain't what I need. You know, and you're hurting because you want to give, but they don't want it. So this is where I say it takes a certain um level of maturity to understand that all rejection ain't bad rejection
Mm.
at all. All rejection ain't bad rejection. If you just stay the course and somebody you want to give to somebody and they don't want what you're giving, if that person is not hurting themselves and you don't see them being a detriment to themselves, then you just got to fall back. You got to fall back because what you're possibly even doing is pushing them away because when they needed that space, you refuse to give it to them. And that's something with the giver. I want to give you something that I feel like you want. But how about you give me space?
Mm.
And you can't give me that space because for you, you don't recognize that space as something valuable that you can give. So you got to
Mm.
give them space. And that's something that you're given. You are given space. That is something. Space is something. You know what I'm saying? So just fall back. Keep one eye on them. Fall back. You know, you want to check in. You doing okay? You don't get a text, and it depends on who. It's a difference. Some people text people and they don't get a response, and they get in their feelings. You know what I'm saying? When somebody going through something, and you know that person going through something, you text them, and you don't get it back, you gotta just wait. You have to wait. There's nothing you can do. You have to wait, especially if they're not hurting themselves. Give them that space. You know how they say weight is a heavy load? Carry that weight. Hold on to it and wait. It's hard to carry, but just wait. People don't want to do it. So that's what I would say. Give them that space. You want to give, give, give? Give me some space.
Mm. That was good to me. That was good to me. What you giving, boo boo? They don't want it. Woo! That was good, Sandy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm having a therapy session.
I
That
mean,
was good though.
it
That
is what
but
it
you're
is.
right. You as a giver, sometimes what you're giving or what you think you're providing, that's not what they need.
Nah.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And my thing is a lot of times when I talk to people about things, sometimes I need them to listen, but some people don't know how to listen. They don't know how to listen to understand. They
Right.
only listen to respond
Right.
and give them the 2 cents. And it's like when you do that, I'm never gonna open up to you again
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
just need you to listen. I
Right.
don't always need a response. I don't always need advice. Just
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Mm-hmm.
So now I just find myself just being quiet
Mm-hmm.
and just talking to God because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's just me and him
Yeah.
sometimes. Just me and
And you'll
him.
get a response.
Yeah. And
You'll
he
get a
and I
response. It
yeah,
may not be in time when you want it, but you'll get a response because once again, you gotta wait. That's the
absolutely.
perfect example of when you talk about a giver. You know what I'm saying? He gives us just what we need. And they always say it may not come what you wanted, but it'll be right on time. That
Right.
is that is a higher being of a power that knows the magnitude of giving and waiting to give.
Absolutely.
And that's just
Absolutely.
all it is. And that's just all it is. He knows when to give and he knows how long we can wait on what he needs to give us. That's just what it is. And we don't have a choice with him.
Right.
We gotta wait. We can't make him do nothing he don't want to do.
Right.
You
Right.
know. So it's the same
Mm.
grace that you got to give other people. The grace you give us is the grace you give them. We gotta wait. I'm not
Mm.
saying with God. I'm just saying we got to give them the same grace that He gives us and wait. It'll come around.
Right.
It'll come around.
Whew. And I want you to touch on something you said about elaborate more on what you said when you said all rejection is not bad.
All rejection is not bad rejection.
Mm.
Let me tell you, I had to learn that for myself. When you talk about from whence you come from, okay? When you taught me about how did I learn this, because I had to be in a place where I was rejected. You know what I'm saying? And when I was rejected, it hurt. And I couldn't understand. Well, let me backtrack and say I won't say I couldn't understand. I'm gonna say I didn't want to understand because you're used to what you're used to, you know. But as I've taken the time, because I had to build myself up, talk to other people, talk to my friends, read books, listen to the word, find different forms of inspiration, um, I realized that had it not had it not been for that rejection, I probably wouldn't have been Dr. Sandee Delice because I was so consumed with wanting to create a life that somebody else didn't want that I forgot about me. So that rejection gave me the space to just see, like, who are you? And I just started to see myself doing different things that felt good. And the more things I did that felt good and was good for my life, the more I went after. But I don't believe I would have ever gotten here if it wasn't for rejection. You know what I'm saying? So now, if I talk to people, yes, rejection hurts like crazy. But listen, let me tell you something, baby. On that other side,
Mm.
when you can sit in your skin and go through your day and you just happy for no reason, you know what I'm saying? And it's because of the things that you have accomplished considering where you came from. It's a good feeling because you never saw yourself here, right? Like earning a doctorate was never something on my radar, but I was distracted. And that rejection freed me up for me to listen and for me to hear. That rejection freed me up for me to be trusted by God for the purpose that He had for my life. And I still don't know if I'm in my purpose, but I just go through it daily, trying to do the best that I can so I can answer my yes when it comes. And I'm answering a lot of yeses, but I don't believe I would have been able to, or I would have been so eager to answer the yes if I was never rejected. So all rejected ain't bad rejection. All
Mm.
rejection ain't bad rejection. You're gonna be okay. You will be okay. Even if you have a twin when you were born, you still by yourself, and you will be fine as long as you are find little windows of optimism. Because I'm not gonna say be optimistic. It's very hard to be optimistic when you're feeling like, why me? How did I get here? But little windows of optimism, eventually it gets wider. And once you get a taste of that goodness and you are now understanding who you are and what you have to give to others, and not so much to others, but what you got to doggone give to yourself, you know, and it's not being selfish. It's not a selfish thing to give to yourself, to take care of yourself, to just have self care. You know, those are the places. Listen, everybody can go there.
Mm.
Everybody can go. When I'm self care and I'm getting a massage, ain't nobody else going with me.
Right.
When I'm riding to work, ain't nobody else going with me. After I've been in my class all day dealing with kids with emotional disabilities and I got to stop and reflect and woosah, ain't nobody with me. So everybody can't go everywhere with you. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with being in a place to feel your own feelings and go where you're being called to go where your purpose is taking you, you know. And if it means you feel like you're going alone, you're not really going to be going alone. It's just this part of the journey. You have to do it by yourself. And you can't take all these people with you.
Mm, mm, mm.
Love on you.
You're right. Oh
Yeah,
my
love on
goodness.
you.
Whew, this was good. This was real good. This was real good to
Oh,
me.
you wilding out.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm just taking it all in, like I did before. Like some of the stuff you've been saying, I was listen. I'm like God, I hear you. I hear you.
Right, right,
But
right.
when
I
you
hear
go to
that.
that
I hear that.
isolation and solitude, I'm like, well, dang, Sandra, you really got to step on my toes like
Hey,
that? Like what?
it just mean you listening.
I am definitely,
It
definitely
just mean you
listening.
listening.
I'm truly humbled and I'm listening. So let
Yeah.
me ask you this: what can we expect from Dr. Sandee Delice? Don't we? Can we talk about a little some of the things we got coming?
Listen,
I mean, we could do it later, but
listen. I'm work. I'm working on some things, a few
Yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I'm working on that I'm ready and I feel ready to do it. And you and I have been talking about it. Says, for the month of February, I'm about to throw out my podcast. My podcast is coming in the month of February. I've
Yeah.
been working on some things. I've been talking to some people, you know, and when I come out, um, I'm not gonna put the name of the podcast out there yet
No,
because
don't do that.
nah, not yet. But just know that it's in the works.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know exactly which date in February, but February 2025, Dr. Delice is gonna start her podcast and you know reach others, learn from others, get healing for myself, hopefully help some people heal, and just have real life conversations, what I'm saying, about everything. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not opposed to just adults. Like I said, I work with teenagers and I work with kids. So I just want to open the floor for just, families. There's men, there's women, there's boys, there's girls, there's life, there's death, there's sickness, there's health, there's politics, which I don't really get into that much. But if people want to talk, I will listen. Everybody has something that they have to say. We all have a mouth for a reason. Everybody has something to say. So it's just a matter of having a platform where people can respectfully say what they need to say, and not just because you want to say something, but because you feel like it'll serve somebody else. So, podcast coming February 2025, and other things down the line. So just
Absolutely.
keep me in
Yeah,
the blessing, keep me in the
yeah, we're gonna
prayers.
say we're gonna say the other stuff later. We're gonna say that
Yeah,
for
yeah,
later. But
yeah,
that's the main thing I wanted you to mention. The podcast is coming, and then when
yes,
it's time to announce the other stuff, we'll announce that stuff later.
absolutely.
You don't put everything out on social media, because when you put things out, sometimes people will attack it. So
Yeah,
if people don't know about it, they can't attack it. So yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So that's why I just definitely wanted you to put that out there.
It's in
Super.
solitude.
Listen, listen. I am super duper proud of you, and I'm be like, you know how I do.
I
Hey,
appreciate you.
like
I
Sandy,
appreciate you.
hey,
Yeah,
Sandy,
I
this
appreciate
a
you
good one.
having me on here too. Like Sandy, like, what are you doing? It's time for you to come back. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you believing that I have something to share and something to
yeah,
give in a
yeah.
timely manner. So, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Oh, you my sister for life. You can't.
Yes.
Hey, we go listen
Hey,
for life, like Keita. Hey, hey.
hey, hey. You know how we do. You know how we do.
But listen, when it's time for the podcast to drop, of course, I'll be more than happy to announce it officially when it releases. And that way everybody know the name. But like I said, we're not going to say the name at this time. But
Not
when it's
yet.
time to release it, we're gonna drop it, and I'm gonna push it hard. Cause you know how I am. I love to promote people.
Right,
I just love to see people do well. I like to see
right.
people. I personally, I want to see everybody win.
Yeah.
That's just who I am. I just
I
like to see
mean,
everybody win.
for
So
you having this platform, what I'm saying, and inviting people on here to share what's going on in their little corner of the world, you helping people win, So I'm
yeah,
proud of you two for stepping out and being vulnerable, you know what I'm saying, and saying, I'm not doing it like I should, but I'm coming. So once you put it out there, then that pushes you to want to do it. But everybody ain't that transparent. So it's a
yeah.
big thing to be transparent for sure. So I'm proud of you too, Tori.
Listen, 2025, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Listen, I got a guest coming up next week, and like sometimes life be happening, guests can cancel, whatever. But even if the guests don't show up, or the guests, I'm gonna come on here by myself if I have
Well,
to.
invite me. Let me jump on. Let me get in the
Listen,
conversation you got going on.
'cause listen, we can always, because like I said, in 2025, I have got to be more consistent. Because
Right.
I got Keita with me.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Always.
literally,
Always.
I got her right beside me. Like literally, she's like
Always.
looking at me right now. So
Yeah.
I got her with me. So I got to keep my word this year
Right,
and really
right.
get myself out there. But I always tell people all the time to reach out to me if there's topics you want to talk about. Of course, I don't do. Now I had some people. Let me tell you. Let me put this out there. I had some people that called me. They want to do some topics. I don't do that. Like if you want to use my platform to get back on some get back, I don't do
We ain't
drama.
doing no get back.
We don't do that. We don't do that over here.
We ain't doing no
So
get back.
no, we ain't doing that. There's a
Nah, we
couple
don't
people
even
I was
get
like,
back.
nah, we don't do that. I'm not doing that. No,
Right.
I want to try to
This
be
ain't
to a point.
TMZ.
What? That yeah, that no, we don't do that. We glorify
Nah.
this kingdom business over here.
Hello,
So
somebody.
yeah, we doing kingdom over here. So like
10
I said,
toes. Stand
guys,
on business.
yeah, that so
Stand
you,
on
you guys,
business.
yeah, if whatever you want to do to top. Now I ain't gonna say whatever, but if it's about kingdom, it's
Yes, let's
about
do
because
it.
I'm big on promoting people that are doing whatever. I love supporting your dreams. So reach out
Right.
to me. We'll put the word out there. And also, I want to say this: tomorrow, of course, is we're celebrating. Tomorrow is the holiday to celebrate Dr. King's Day. So don't
Right.
stay home. Do something productive. I know some activities started actually on his birthday, which is the 15th of January, which is his actual birthday.
Mm-hmm.
There were some activities that started on his actual birthday. So if you haven't done anything, there are a lot of activities that are going on in the area. I'll be at
Right.
where will I be tomorrow? I'm going to be at Mayo High School tomorrow. I think it starts at 11 a.m.
Right.
10 or 11. But please
Okay.
do something. If you haven't already, do something to celebrate Dr. King because his legacy will
Absolutely.
forever live on. And I was just
Forever.
thinking, I went to an event yesterday and I just realized I was like, he was 39 when he died. I forgot about that.
Right. He
He
was
didn't even
young.
make it, he didn't even make it to 40. So
He was young.
and he's known around the world. So
But
please do
boy, did he
something.
do. Boy, was
Yes.
he mighty. And he did a
What?
lot in them
He
39 years.
he
So,
did. He
yeah.
did. So
Yeah.
we definitely got to celebrate him. Now, is there any final words as we because I don't want to take no much more of your Sunday. Any final thoughts before we end for this beautiful Sunday evening?
Well, our podcast today was Everybody Can't Go. So, my final thought for the evening is going to be okay with not taking everybody with you when you need to grow. That's it. Point blank, period. It's not selfish. It's not mean. It's not the end of the world. When your purpose and your calling is knocking at your door and you see that it requires you to focus on what needs to be done for you, don't feel bad about it because those that are meant to stay will stay. And those that are meant to not be there without you even pushing them away, it'll fizzle and it'll dissolve. And it'll be 100 anyway because you don't have to do anything about it. So be okay with making your own decisions. And I want to share this little thing right here. It
Mm,
says she leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes. And just take out the she and just say I. And it doesn't have to be something that you do that's broadcasted. Just live your life and move in a way that, when you do what you do, people know you're legit and you're standing on business, and just leave a little sparkle wherever you go. And that just means that you live in your life in the right way, not for anybody else, but for the kingdom to give glory. So I thank y'all for listening, and I appreciate you, Tori, for having me. I love
yep.
you, my sister.
I love you too, sis. And with that, nothing else needs to be said.
That
Listen, thank you guys for watching. We out. And like I always say, you may bend, but don't you dare break.
hello,
Peace.
somebody. Later. Bye.
Later. Peace,
Bye.
y'all.